of our university, to the registrar of this university, who is busy with her administrative work. The reason for being absent on the dais is that she said she has some urgent communication which she has to make. I just told her, okay ma'am, please. Yeah. So also to the principal, College of Arts, Swaruparani Gariki, in her absence, and also to the principal, College of Sciences, Professor K. Gangadhar Gariki, in his absence, and to the principal, College of Engineering, Professor Siddhay Gariki, in his absence, and also to the principal, College of Architecture, Professor Srinivas Reddy Gariki, also in his absence, and to the principal, College of Pharmacy, Professor Pramila Rani Gariki, in her absence, because all these people, all the principals came out with a reason for being absent, and I just told them, kindly absent yourself and concentrate on the on the administration and what they have to do. And I have to thank all the people who are on the dais, Dean CDC, Professor Madhubabu Garu, Professor Nagaraju Garu, Director, Center for Distance Education, and Professor Uday Kumar Garu, and Dr. Shantasri, and of course, above all, this function belongs to Dr. DR. Ambedkar Chair, the Chair Professor, Professor Ashok Kumar, who is actively doing all these things to justify Ambedkarism and to justify Ambedkar's ideology. I especially thank him and congratulate him. And of course, Professor Trimurti Rao Garu, and all our Dr. K. Nagakishore, who inspired you, and also Professor Nagaraj Garu, the men's hostel chief warden, who is doing selfless service as the chief warden for the benefit of the welfare of the students. Of course, Professor Venkatatnam Garu, and chief warden, women's hostel. Being a professor of zoology, she came forward to take up the responsibility of looking after the administration of running the women's hostels in a better way. And all our non-teaching friends, C. Garu, Narsari Garu, and Mr. Anil, who recently became the president of Vikasa, president of Non-Teaching Employees Association, and Reddy Prakash Garu, assistant controller of examinations, and the students, wonderful student leaders of this university, and students from the Department of English, Department of Economics, Department of Political Science and PubAd, and also students from College of Engineering, scholars from all the disciplines of humanities and social sciences, and students from Architecture, College of Architecture and Planning. So my congratulations to all of you for being part of this program. I convey my gratitudes to all of you for making this commemoration of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's death anniversary. In fact, it falls tomorrow, but most of the universities, they observe these days the death anniversary of Ambedkar, birth anniversary of Ambedkar, or other important social reformers. They just do it 2 days before or 2 days after. It's because most of the speakers, most of the resource persons from their concerned universities expected to speak on this occasion will be invited to some other places. I think yesterday Osmani University has observed Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's death anniversary. I just happened to listen to the lecture delivered by Sri Mallepalli Lakshmaya to all the professors and to all the scholars and to all the students of Osmani University. So I slept while listening to his lecture delivered, available on the YouTube. I was sleeping and then trying to recollect as to what I should speak on this occasion. Till 3 o'clock in the morning. because it is on 6th morning, means tonight, and then in the morning, Dr. Ambedkar breathed his last on 6th of December. I happened to meet Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's secretary when I was a student in the university, Sri Nanak Chandra Rattu. And Nanak Chandra Rattu was the secretary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was actually beside Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on the last day of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and he made Baba Saheb to sleep, and then he covered his body with a rug, and then went to his home on a bicycle. And he told us that he was informed early in the morning Dr. B.R. Ambedkar passed away. So this was considered, the death of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was considered to be the greatest tragedy that happened to independent India. It was in 1956. Had he lived little longer, perhaps the history of India would have been different. But still he made the difference in the history of India. He has steered the direction of Indian society, and he has given a right direction and a better future for millions and millions of the downtrodden people of India. So we keep celebrating his personality on this day rather than lamenting and bemoaning and expressing our grief as to why Baba Saheb died so early. He was only 65 years when he died. And people keep talking about mysterious reasons, mysterious social circumstances that led to his death. Anyway, I'm not going to concentrate on those reasons because I keep talking about those reasons all the time, every time. Okay. So I consider myself still as a learner of Ambedkarism, not as a practitioner of Ambedkarism. I'm just struggling to practice Ambedkarism because nobody can practice Ambedkarism to the complete extent. Okay, to the complete extent, and we cannot do justice to Ambedkarism to the complete extent because you need to be so broad-minded enough. You need to sacrifice your life beyond your limitations, and no personality can come near Ambedkar in terms of practicing Ambedkarism, and hence I consider myself as the learner of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's ideology and philosophy, and a student even today struggling to practice Ambedkarism in all its totality. Okay. So Ambedkar is an emotional property to every downtrodden person in this country. And Ambedkar has transcended beyond his death. He has transcended beyond his death, and he has become the cultural and intellectual property of all the Indians right now. Because when we try to take a stock of the situation as to what the nation is trying to do in understanding Ambedkar, as to what all the political parties are trying to do in making him the emblem of their political slogans, in making him the central emblem of their political ideology, we'll be surprised that all these things are happening without our notice, without our proper acknowledgement, without we being concerned about Ambedkarism. Of course, we are doing these things just because Ambedkar chair is there, and just because I'm interested in Ambedkarism, and just because I'm a promoter of Ambedkarism. I'm involved in organizing these kinds of events for the benefit of the students, trying to understand that students need to intellectualize themselves at the university level. But it's not happening in other places. But even then, I don't take credit. I don't say that It is only happening in Nagarjuna University, and these kinds of meetings are not taking place in other universities. Even in other universities, these meetings are going on at one way or another way, but in a very small way in some places, but in a very big way in some places. But I should thank the Honorable CM, because I am known as practitioner of Ambedkarism. I am known as an Ambedkarite, and Honorable CM, in order to elevate Ambedkarism, because there are taboos in the society, that whoever speaks about Ambedkar at the university level or as an academician is unfit for any kind of administrative positions, is unfit for taking administrative responsibility of mainstream society. So this taboo existed till yesterday. The prohibitory orders are there till yesterday. Everybody prefers normal people. Everybody prefers people who do not know anything about Ambedkar, and everybody prefers only the people who can pretend as if they do not know anything about Ambedkar, and everybody prefers ignorant people as far as Ambedkar is concerned. But times are changing. People's acceptance towards considering Ambedkar as the intellectual personality is leaping forward. People are giving their consent. All the sections of the society, all the castes in India, or all the races in the world are coming together to accept Ambedkarism as the inimitable ideology for the progress of the world. Because we have seen many ideologies. We have seen Marxism as an ideology, or we are seeing feminism as an ideology, the idea of empowerment of the woman, and we are seeing Hinduism, the practice of Hinduism as a religious ideology, or we are also seeing the practice of Christianity as a religious ideology, and we are also direct witness to the practice of Islamic religion as an Islamic ideology. Okay, so wherever you go, you find the clash of ideologies, and this clash of ideologies is being represented as clash of civilizations. If Hindu ideology is coming into conflict with Christian ideology, it is being considered as a clash of civilizations. I think Ram Gopal Verma in one of his interviews says that I consider Christ as the super God, because the entire West is practicing Christianity. Since many of the Western nations are powerful nations when compared to India and other nations, the religion practiced by the Western nations and the God practiced or followed by the Western nations becomes the most powerful God. So he says that Christ is the most powerful God. In view of understanding the clash of civilizations. Now the point here is which civilization will survive when Christianity is in constant conflict with Hindu civilization, and when Hindu civilization is in constant conflict with Islamic civilization, which civilization will survive? Because all the civilizations, the world's ancient civilizations like Greek civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, all those kinds of civilizations, Indus Valley civilization or Harappan civilization, all those things are buried. They were defeated by the transition of time. They were defeated by the power of the time. But we have only few civilizations that are trying to defeat the time. And that is Hindu civilization and Christian civilization and Islamic civilization, trying to make us understand it is nothing but the clash of ideologies. So when it comes to ideology, which is the strongest ideology? Is the Marxist ideology that has viewed the evolution of the world from the perspective of economic determinism, or is it Ambedkarism, which is considered to be the last resort for this human civilization to be subscribed to? Okay, now everybody everybody comes to an understanding that there is only one last post in India as far as the practice of ideology is concerned, and that last post is Ambedkarism. And this Ambedkarism right now has acquired the consent from all the sections of the society, and it has already acquired the consent from all the nations in the West, hence is the significance which is being given by all the mainstream sections of the society to observe the death anniversary of Ambedkar and also to observe the birth anniversary of Ambedkar. So on the death anniversary of Ambedkar, what are we supposed to take into consideration? How are we supposed to understand his personality? Because the present generations, like many of you, or like most of you, as you are standing in the crossroads, in the junction of the crossroads, without knowing anything about Ambedkar, I too was also ignorant when I was a student. Christ was my passion and Christ was my life, and going to the church and praying regularly, not on Sundays, okay, praying while walking, praying while dreaming, and praying while sleeping, okay. I used to carry the rosary in my fingers, and I used to, keep praying, walking and keep praying, and my parents used to be happy that I would soon become a saint in Christian religion. Okay. I would soon be declared as a saint because of all the wonderful things that are happening in my life. So I entered as an ignorant person without knowing who Ambedkar is, into the university, almost like many of you. So, I started deviating from the tough religious practices. I started slowly forgetting Christ from my mind and from my life because he is replaced by Ambedkar and Ambedkarism, etc. I always found that Ambedkar is anybody's last action hero. Ambedkar will be naturally any young man or young woman's last action hero if his life is properly followed and properly understood. Let me say something about how Ambedkar is understood abroad. Instead of all the time talking about his biography and making it to understand the chronological evolution of his important events as anti-colonial, as a person who challenged colonialism, as also the person who stood in the forefront in challenging the internal colonialism in India. Internal colonialism in the sense India was already colonized before it was colonized by the British people. Okay, so there is a kind of internal colonialism by our own people, experienced by the downtrodden sections of the society. So the downtrodden sections in India haven't felt the difference between internal colonialism and external colonialism. A colonialism, an occupation that came in the form of British invasion. So many of the poor people, many of the downtrodden people, they didn't find any kind of difference. We are absolutely fine under British rule, and the British people were embracing us, British people were allowing us into education institutions, the British people were healing us, they were taking us to the hospitals, and the British people were making us to travel from one place to another place. Before, our lives were immobile lives. We were not allowed to move out of the village or out of our street. We are not allowed to take water. We are not allowed to make our own food. Food was imposed on us. We had to collect food, and the food consumption and the food practices were imposed violently by the dominant sections of the society. So the downtrodden sections of the society, they didn't feel the difference between external colonialism and the internal colonialism. In fact, internal colonialism was more severe. Okay, it was more, punishing and more violent, and it was unbearable when compared to external colonialism. So Ambedkar was raising the question, if you are fighting for the independence of the nation, whose independence it is. I think, of course, the subject, the traditional subject which is known to you. I'm raising few fundamental questions related to Ambedkar's, assertion or Ambedkar's revolution against the social domination. But I want you to be very, very particular in trying to understand Ambedkarism abroad, because in 2006 I have been to Canada, and I was in the University of Manitoba establishing a comparison between Ambedkar and Derrida. There is Derrida, a great philosopher in the 20th century, and this Derrida is considered to be the ultimate philosopher in the West. So I tried to make a comparison between Derrida and Ambedkar, making those people to understand that whatever was said by Derrida in the fag end of the 20th century was already told by Ambedkar in India in the beginning of the 20th century. They were surprised and they were trying to understand who this Ambedkar is. I did the same thing when I went to US in 2007, and I also did the same presentation and same thing on different aspects of Ambedkar, comparing Ambedkar with different aspects of the Western philosophies and Western ideologies. Even in University of even when I went to Oxford University in 2007, I made a similar comparison. And when I was in Australia also, I made a similar comparison between Dalit feminism and Aboriginal feminism, establishing a comparison between Aborigines and Dalits of Aborigines and Dalits of India. So in the West, wherever I went, I've been to Australia, been to UK, been to US, and been to Canada twice. Wherever I went, whenever I was trying to talk about Ambedkar and trying to present a comparative understanding of Ambedkar, most of the people were sitting with at least a fundamental knowledge of Ambedkar. Yeah, we heard of Ambedkar, and we know that there is some problem in India which is considered to be internal problem, and no representative from India tries to project it to be solved at the international bodies. So, as I've been telling, the problems of race, the problems of indigeneity, the problems of nativity, etc., they were all settled in the West. And West has successfully come out of chromophobia. Okay, the disease, the phobia that comes out of color discrimination, negrophobia, the phobia that comes out of watching a Negro, because we consider Negroes as emblems of fear, and we discriminate them in the name of color. So the racial discrimination or apartheid or the problem of disallowing the native people into the mainstream society, all those things are settled in the West, except the crucial problem of caste. Because Ambedkar in 1930s itself has forewarned the whole world, saying that if you allow Indians to migrate to other nations, the problem of caste will be the global problem. So now most of the nations in the world, especially 33 countries in the world, are seriously suffering from the problem of caste. You have the problem of caste in the UK, okay, because there are some people who are called as Dalits. You have the problem of caste in US because already half of US is occupied by Indians, and whenever Indians goes, they go with their film stars, and they express their fanaticism to worship their film stars, keeping in view their social background. You are a fan to a film star if the film star belongs to your community. Only Dalit people who don't have downtrodden people who don't have film stars of their community background, they genuinely, out of artistic appreciation, appreciate the actors and actresses. So the very sense of aestheticism, the very sense of artistic appreciation is found in the lives of the downtrodden people and in the lives of their appreciation. So because they're all polarized, every mindset is polarized, no point in talking about annihilation of caste. But let us try to understand how Ambedkar is being understood, how Ambedkar is being perceived, across the globe. So Ambedkar said that with all his prescience, if Hindus, in the sense of Indians, migrate to other regions on earth, Indian caste would become a world problem. So many Hindus carry their caste with them when they leave India. But awareness and resistance to caste practices has also been going abroad, even if Dalits outside India have not faced the kind of atrocities still tragically familiar in India. So Dalit organizations in Britain are actively lobbying for a law to address the impact of caste as far as the caste discrimination is concerned. So British Dalits have been seeking to be protected under the provisions of the Equality Act 2010, though debate still continues on whether such inclusion to outlaw caste consciousness or to promote it. Because the debate is going on in Britain whether to outlaw the caste consciousness. Now the question is, why should people live with caste consciousness? Okay. But of course all the downtrodden people will live with their caste consciousness because it is they who are victimized. It is they who will be, disrespected. It is they who will be humiliated in the name of caste. So if the downtrodden people will have to liberate themselves from their own caste consciousness, they will have to present their resistance. They will have to project their struggles against caste discrimination as an ideological struggles and an ideological things. But then what is happening to this ideology? The ideology of broad-mindedness, the broader ideology of fighting against caste discrimination is vivisected, is classified into sub-casteist representation, which leads to the defeat of the major goal of fighting against the caste. The major objective of fighting against the caste is further delayed. Because most of the downtrodden people are busy in settling the scores within themselves. Which subcaste is superior culturally, which subcaste has to, get the privileges when compared to other subcastes, which subcaste has to find good political representation, and which subcaste has to find good social representation. I think these are the things that are going on in India, whereas in the West, the entire America stood united in fighting against racial discrimination. Of course, there are also different races among Negroes. Even when you go to South Africa, or when you go to, African countries, East African countries, and North African countries, you have different tribes and different clans. But the problems between the tribes and clans, they have not become obstacles in the way of fighting against the Western people to eradicate racial discrimination. Okay. So that is why soon the black people are being considered as heroes, Hollywood heroes and Hollywood heroines. The Western audience, there's no more suffer. No, the hero should be white and no, obviously not. You have Black Panther and other, films which are doing roaring business, almost equaling Avatar and almost equaling other Hollywood films. So the chromophobia, the phobia that comes out of color distinction, or the racial phobia, the phobia that comes out of the racial discrimination, is no more there, because in the very cultural psyche, they are broad-minded enough, they are in coming forward to accept the blackest of the blacks as the Hollywood heroes. Okay. To accept that whiteness, which is considered to be the purity of beauty, a symbol of beauty, is being replaced that black woman and black color is also the symbol of beauty. So black woman and black heroine can also liberate the whole world. So black woman can also be considered as the most beautiful woman in the world. Okay. So these cultural inscriptions are being inscribed in the recent times, whereas we are, caught up at the crossroads of settling the scores between one subcaste and another subcaste, which is further delaying the very objective of defeating the monster of caste. Because in whichever direction you go in Indian society, you find caste as a hydra-headed monster. In whichever direction, okay, you go to the department, you find caste as a monster. You go to administrative block, you find caste as a monster. Okay. You go outside the society, you find as a caste as a monster. So in whichever direction you go, you find caste existing and trying to influence yourself in hydra-headed forms. Hydra-headed forms. So the caste is becoming more stronger and stronger. And the spirit of the humanity, especially the Indian spirit, to defeat the caste is becoming weaker and weaker every day. And finally, the human beings, especially the Dalits and the downtrodden sections in India, they die. They die with the hope that caste will be defeated, and they have tried their best in their lifespan and they have failed in defeating the caste. And they are dragged to the graveyard of the caste and subcaste occupations. So even in death, caste assists you. Even in death, caste influences you. You know, in whichever direction you fly, go to America, you will be received only by your caste people. Okay, by your caste people. When I went to US, I was received by the same downtrodden people, and again they brought me to the evening prayer. I was running away from that. My God, please leave me. I came here just to spend some time, and I just want to meet people, who are normal and who are neutral, not the people who are burying heads in reading the Bible and again, concluding the prayer meetings, with a consumption of chicken biryani and other things. Eventually, the end of the prayer meeting would result into, equal distribution of chicken biryani and chicken joints. Okay. So vulgarization of food items. Okay. Vulgarization of exposing the food items. In the name of ideology and in the name of religion, in the name of practicing of religion. That's why I'm telling all our coordinators, మనం చెప్పిందే ఉండమనండి. ఏదైనా ఫంక్షన్స్కి we keep ordering చికెన్ బిర్యానీ అంటే ఆయన చికెన్ లెగ్స్ పెడతాడు. ఇన్ అడిషన్ టు చికెన్ బిర్యానీ, చికెన్ కర్రీ అంటే చికెన్ ఫ్రై కూడా చేసి పెడతాడు. వద్దండి, అలా వద్దు, నాట్ నెసెసరీ, వీ డోంట్ నీడ్ దట్. ఓకే, we just want a working lunch and we just want a biryani or we just want a white rice or chicken curry. We don't want display of chicken legs, okay? And then we don't want all delicious things, variety of non-veg and other things, with which the downtrodden people are always accused. That is the fundamental reason. The fundamental reason for refusing to, eat all those food items is since centuries and centuries, since the times immemorial, downtrodden people are accused of foodies. Okay. Downtrodden people are accused of notorious non-vegetarians. Okay, that's how the dominant caste survives. It creates a kind of cultural stereotypes which become part and parcel of our lifestyle, and from which we do not find any kind of liberation, because the objective of defeating the ideology of the downtrodden people becomes very easy for them, because unconsciously we keep practicing all these cultural practices. Okay. Whereas our objective of fighting against the caste, our objective of creating a casteless society, further gets delayed because of our small internal problems and the lack of proper ideology and the lack of disbelief in Ambedkarism. Now the point here is when we are fighting with our own subcaste people, how do you relate yourself to Ambedkarism? And what is the solution provided by Ambedkarism? These are the fundamental questions. And we tend to negate even with Ambedkarism, saying that no, Ambedkar has not addressed this. Okay, Ambedkarism has not given us any kind of solutions. So anybody who is coming out with solutions from Ambedkarism is becoming a fool, is being isolated. And anybody who is coming out with a strong militant subcaste representation is becoming an overnight star. Okay. Just as like mainstream film heroes, with one success of the film, they become successful heroes like Vijay Devarkonda. Similarly, anybody who comes forward to militantly express his subcaste representation becomes an overnight star, a quick star. I think this is the fascination of the youngsters, today's youngsters, because nobody wants to conceal their caste identity. Everybody wants to come onto the streets with their caste identity, and everybody wants to fight against the subcasteist representations, forgetting the fact that the major cultural battle is ahead. And Ambedkarism has given us a greater ideology to fight against those things. As we have discouraged Ambedkarism with all our cultural practices that have come very recently into our mindsets, into our culture, the problem of caste, especially subcaste, becomes serious and serious day by day in India, whereas the problem of race and other problems that the whole world is facing are being eliminated. They are becoming invisible day by day, day by day. So in 2019 BBC television documentary, Hindus, Do We Have a Caste Problem, has already confirmed that caste awareness is widespread in India, in Indian diaspora in Britain. Caste awareness is completely widespread. I think we are seeing in the elections time, all the people who are settled in US, they come with their money bags. Okay, and they settle their political scores here, and they try their best. Do or die battle during the election time. Now or never battle during the election time. If not now, our caste will not come to power. Okay. If not now, when? Okay. When they find out that their own caste is being defeated in the elections, they go crying. They leave America crying. Okay. They go crying and they don't see India. Again, they see India only during the election time. They see India only during the election time. And we, the downtrodden people or the downtrodden sections of the society who don't have capacity to move abroad, of course we are sending our children. Now it has become easy for everybody to fly to other countries. But of course we are sending our children. But let us keep in our mind why they are sending the children abroad. The dominant sections of the people are sending the children abroad. And why we are struggling to send our children abroad. We are struggling to send our children abroad only for education. But they are trying to send their children abroad to substantiate their domination even in America, to defeat America. And if possible, migrate to planet Moon and migrate to planet Mars and occupy and buy land and do real estate business in Mars also. Okay. I think some of the AP people they even have lands in planet Mars. So the biggest obstacle that comes in the way of success of Ambedkarism is the culture, the materialistic culture, the business culture, created by Andhra Pradesh people. Tamilians are not that materialistic. They are very proud of their Tamil nationalism. Malayalis are not proud of, they are not very particular about their caste domination, because they see if Malayalis are there, that is enough for them. Okay, in any section, even if it is culture, even if it is literary representation, even if it is film acting, for them if Mohanlal is there, that is enough. For them if Mummati is there, that is enough. Or Dulquer Salman is there, that is enough. Okay, and then they see to it that only Malayali films get selected as national films. The Best Actor Award or Best Actress Award, Best Feature Film Award or Sahitya Academy Awards. All the cultural awards are completely dominated by Malayalis or Tamilians, or if Tamilians and Malayalis miss, Kannadigas come. And where do Andhra people, where do you find the presence of Andhrites? Absolutely nowhere, except in attending film functions. Okay. Except in attending film functions, Andhra people are nowhere. Okay, but they also have celebrities. They also have film stars. They also have women film stars. But the problem is they know where to restrain. They know how to represent. They know where to take over their Tamil identity or Kannadiga identity or Malayali identity. I'm not talking about North and Northeastern states, because according to Ambedkar, life is horrible and miserable in entire North India. And life is very broad-minded, very complacent, very livable and lovable only in South India. Okay, is it just because the South Indian states are educated states? Or is it just because North Indian states are uneducated states? What do you find in North India? You find the dominant caste consolidation against the downtrodden people. Okay, against the downtrodden people, everybody will unite. Everybody will unite in punishing the downtrodden people, be it Orissa, or be it Rajasthan, or be it Madhya Pradesh, or be it Uttar Pradesh. Of course, we don't even talk about Uttar Pradesh, or be it Bihar, okay, be it Bihar, or be it any other northern state in India. You find, though Ambedkarism is also extolled in Uttar Pradesh, Ambedkarism found its justification in a political rule. But how long did it last? It has not lasted even for 10 years. Now, what is the position of Ambedkarism in Uttar Pradesh? Okay. Now, every 6 minutes a Dalit is being raped in a state like Uttar Pradesh, according to the Human Rights Index report or something. Every 6 minutes, either a Dalit is being beaten, terribly beaten, or a Dalit woman is being terribly raped. Okay. Whatever we get in the media, they are only specific incidents. So victimization is generalized and got consolidated in the entire northern India. Of course, we also have stray incidents of serious crime and serious victimization in South India also. Even Andhra Pradesh is not exempted, and Tamil Nadu is also not exempted, including Kerala, which is considered to be the most progressive state in India, is also not exempted. But as a contrast to the existing reality in India, what other countries are doing, that's why I want you to understand the condition of Ambedkarism abroad. Okay. I know. I think in England, a list of there is a number of Dalit organizations that has brought UK to table the item of caste discrimination in Parliament, and it found nearly 50% of British Sikh respondents who were found to be believing in caste system. Okay. So in the year 2022, US-based Dalit civil rights organization Equality Labs accused Google of having casteist and hostile workplace practices after the cancellation of talk by its executive director, Google News staff, as part of April's Dalit History Month. I mean, April is considered to be a Dalit History Month because we have the birthdays of all three important people. So in US, a Dalit civil rights organization has claimed that Google, which is considered to be a software, largest job providing organization, is found to be practicing, discrimination. And then in Hungary you have the same problem, and then you have in Nepal you have the same problem. Even in Punjab, in Canada you have the same problem. I mean to say that wherever you find the problems in the West, there you find, Dalit movements and Ambedkarite movements trying to represent. So, so let me make you understand the legacy of Ambedkar. After making you understand how Ambedkarism is trying its best to fight against caste discrimination, whereas in India we are giving up our battle against caste discrimination. Okay. So there is a social scientist by name Badrinarayan who has observed, if Baba Saheb Ambedkar were to alive today, he would probably have been quite amazed to see how political parties with completely different ideologies are vying with each other to associate themselves with his persona. I think now everybody is claiming Ambedkar as their emblem, as I told you in the beginning, including the Bharatiya Janata Party and including the communist parties who had their own reservations and restrictions to accept Ambedkar. Now everybody, makes Ambedkar at the centrality of their ideology. Ambedkar's life and work have been reinvented and reimagined to occupy a larger space in the public imagination than ever before. Okay. So we have some imagination, and in the public imagination, our understanding of Ambedkar is this. But then all the political parties are competing with one another or with each other to go beyond this public imagination, where you find, including our Prime Minister, prostrating before Ambedkar, and then coming out with establishing large portraits of Ambedkar and big statues of Ambedkar. Ambedkar statues continue to proliferate around the country, but they are getting bigger and more majestic as the competition of adulation of Ambedkar in a statutory proceeds space. The Statue of Knowledge, a 70-foot tall statue of Ambedkar, was unveiled in Latur city, Maharashtra in the year 2022, in this year in April. It was followed by the announcement from the state of Telangana that 125-foot tall statue of Ambedkar would soon be installed at NTR Gardens near Hussain Sagar Lake in Hyderabad. Okay. Maharashtra, not to be outdone, declared that work on a memorial to Ambedkar in his native Mumbai was progressing smoothly, and the world-class monument is expected to be completed by 2024 March with a budget of 1,000 crores. It will be the tallest Ambedkar statue in the world at 450 feet, standing as high as a 50-story building weighing 80 tons. This site will feature other Ambedkar memorabilia or a replica of Chadar Lake, the site of his first agitation. Okay. Of course, Andhra Pradesh is not far behind because we have already named Konasima after Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and we were witnessing how this declaration of naming the district in the name of Ambedkar led to the violent incidents. And we also have the state coming forward in trying to erect a statue, the tallest statue in Vijayawada PWD grounds. I think the work will be completed by next April. Okay. So, so the legacy of Ambedkar is found to be proliferating in the form of statues, in the form of emblems, and also in the form of the competition that the political parties are vying with each other. So at the personal level, what every student has to do, what every scholar has to do, because I'm saying that we are in search of the speakers about Ambedkar, the scholars who have to study Ambedkar, who will have to study Ambedkar, are found to be missing. We are actually in dearth of the speakers of Ambedkar. I think that is one of the reasons as to why these death anniversaries are being celebrated one day before or one day after. Absolutely, we are in search of the speakers. Absolutely, we are in search of the readers who actually read works written by Ambedkar, who actually read works on Ambedkar, and who actually come out with a lucid interpretation of what Ambedkarism is. Apart from the comparisons that we are trying to make with, all the Western, reformers who fought against social discrimination, apart from the comparisons that we make, or apart from the relative comparison that we are also making, under the mask, under the veil of ideology, let us be completely aware where does our destination lie, okay, and how do we go from this particular aspect, because every nation, I keep telling, every nation in the West has come out of its problems, internal problems, be it racial discrimination or cultural discrimination. Most of the nations in the world, as I keep all the time saying, fought for their political independence for a few years, except India. Because this is my observation all the time whenever I talk about ideology of Ambedkar. I keep reminding that India is the only nation that fought for its political independence for 100 years. Almost for 100 years. Okay. It's the only nation that fought for political independence for 100 years, and we proudly proclaim that India fought for its political independence for 100 years. Whereas other small nations, they fought for its independence and achieved independence within a span of 5 years, 6 years, or maximum 15 to 20 years. So when you try to explore into the reasons as to what exactly is the fundamental reason for the delay of bestowing independence by the British people, we find only caste as a major thing. Because every caste is considered to be a nation. Every caste lives like a nation. Every caste practices like a nation. Every caste travels like a nation, and every caste believes in declaring its nationalism. That's why India is considered to be all the time a nation within the nation. A nation within the nation. So that is why Ambedkar, much before the Western philosophers pointed out about the beginnings of philosophy or the domination of religion, Ambedkar has questioned the problem of centrality. The centrality, the issue of centrality. If the issue of caste has to be settled, the issue of centrality has to be understood. If the issue of religious domination has to be settled, the issue of centrality has to be understood. Okay. Of course, all the students of literature and literary criticism will know that there is a center, and the center, spawns binary oppositions. It spawns binary oppositions. The binary oppositions are man, woman, day, night, good, bad, beauty and ugly, nature and culture, whiteness and blackness, purity and impurity, lower caste and upper caste, dominant caste and subjugated caste. These are the binary oppositions with which the reality of the lives are related. So we see the reality of the life only when we are juxtaposed with these two binary oppositions. And no culture and no nation and no human being goes beyond these binary oppositions in terms of understanding any perception, in terms of understanding any cultural event, in terms of understanding even the attempt of analyzing the human nature. Okay. So our mindset is completely crucified in binary oppositions. And Ambedkar has questioned that unless we, distort this centrality, unless we dissolve this centrality, and this centrality is called as religion, the centrality is called as God, the centrality is called as infinite truth, the centrality is called as, immovable mover, a mover who cannot be moved, and a centrality who decides the meanings and all the aspects that we understand in this world. Okay. So from where do the meaning of man comes, from where do the meaning of woman comes, from where do the meaning of dominant caste comes, and from where do the meaning of the subjugated caste comes? It comes from the center. Okay. And what is the center? You call the center as a religion, you call the center as a God, you call the center as infinite truth, and you call that as infinity. Okay. And you proclaim that it is the truth. So what is the truth actually? The truth is something which spawns inferiority complexes. The truth is something which spawns and which sponsors these binary oppositions, like blackness and whiteness, like man and woman. So unless we redesign these binary oppositions, unless we reinterrogate these binary oppositions, and unless we attribute new meanings to these binary oppositions, we cannot move ahead. Okay. So why do the people believe in caste domination? Because it is inscribed by the religion. It has got its religious sanctity. And what is the religion according to Ambedkar? It is the centrality of civilization, human civilization. So which need to be disagreed, which need to be contested, which need to be distorted is the idea of centrality. So we are living in the decentered world where there is no center. So India is not the center in this world, and UK is not the center in this world. Similarly, white man is not the center of the civilization, and also Dalit man is also not the center of civilization. So in the process of fighting against domination of centrality, or in the process of fighting against the domination of race, caste, etc., let us not consolidate ourselves and then repeat what the dominant castes have already done to us. Okay. So casteless society or egalitarian society cannot be established by pulling down the dominant caste people and then converting them into Dalit positions. Absolutely not. Why do downtrodden people, why do Dalit people fight with the help of Ambedkar's ideology? Is it to make the dominant caste people as Dalit people? Absolutely not. It's only to level the social differences, the cultural differences. It is only to level the philosophical dominations. It is only to level the dominations of religion. It is only to level or equal the racial discriminations. I think that's where the liberation of Dalit ideology and that's where the liberation of Ambedkarism lies. Okay. So the best commemoration in taking forward the legacy of Ambedkar lies in equaling, the binary oppositions. Lies in equaling the binary opposition. There is nothing like dominant caste and subjugated caste. Okay. There is nothing like upper caste and lower caste. Okay. Of course, we are not talking anything about a particular philosophy which obscurely states that there is nothing like dominant caste and Dalit caste or a subjugated caste, but it's a kind of practicalization of, not accepting or practicalization of refusing to accept somebody as a dominant person. Just as Ambedkar has refused to accept the dominance of Mahatma Gandhi. What is the contention of Ambedkar in accepting the dominance of Mahatma Gandhi? Mahatma Gandhi wants to sit in his privileged position and wants to distribute equality to other people, which leads to his domination. That's why Ambedkar said, no, the fight against the caste discrimination is to be carried out by the downtrodden people itself. Gandhi says, no, the fight against caste discrimination has to be fought by the dominant caste because it is the dominant caste who are practicing untouchability. So, eradication of untouchability is the problem of the dominant caste. And Ambedkar says that if they are allowed to fight against untouchability, my liberation depends on the sympathy of the dominant caste people. And how do I lead my life with self-respect and, self-esteem? Self-esteem. So when I am the victim of a particular social practice, let me be allowed to represent myself. That is one of the reasons as to why, I give up all sorts of protocols. Okay. So according to the protocol, only registrar, rector and OSD or somebody has to sit on the dais. One former principal complained that I am violating the protocols to the government. Okay. One former principal, she complained, this guy keeps everybody to sit on the dais. Okay. And this guy do not observe any protocol and ask everybody to speak. Okay. And my constitutional position of principalship is being abrogated. It's being wiped out. It's being diluted. It's being diluted. What is that funny and stupid argument? Today is Ambedkar's death anniversary, and everybody should express their opinion. They should be given an opportunity to speak on what they feel, even if it is a traditional representation. Okay. వాళ్ళకి ఏం తెలియకపోయినా అంబేద్కర్ అంటే ఏం తెలియకపోయినా అప్పటికప్పుడే 2-3 సెంటెన్స్లు ఏదో చెప్పినా ఓకే లెట్ దెమ్ సే అట్లీస్ట్ దోస్ థింగ్స్ లెట్ దెమ్ రిప్రజెంట్ దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ ఈస్ నోన్ యాజ్ సెల్ఫ్ రిప్రజెంటేషన్ వాట్ ఈస్ నోన్ యాజ్ సెల్ఫ్ రిప్రజెంటేషన్ నేను అందుకే చెబుతున్నాను గెస్ట్ ఫ్యాకల్టీకి ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్ ఏమి ఉండవు ఓకే you are working as a teacher and you are capable of representing your own problem okay. And I am against the unions for the teachers also. Teachers unions enti. Of course, not teaching staff people ఉండొచ్చు. Okay. Not teaching staff people ఉండొచ్చు. Teachers కూడా union elections ఇవన్నీ పెట్టుకుంటే scholars union elections. Students organizations to represent an ideology are acceptable. But students organizations that substantiate their supremacy as a leader in the name of subjugating their fellow people's representation, right of self-representation, they cannot be encouraged. Of course, this is a new form of ideology. Adenti organizations em undavaddu antadu. Mallu pakkane Ambedkarism antadu. Okay. During Ambedkar's time, Ambedkar was the only educated person, and not all the educated people can come forward for self-representation, for representing their community. Education turns you into a selfish person. Education makes you to enjoy your life. If Ambedkar were to think in a different way, the future of millions and millions of Dalits would have been different. If Ambedkar had to fall in love with a foreigner during his stay in US and Britain, if Ambedkar were to, become a victim of boozing, if Ambedkar were to become a victim of Western culture, what would have been the future of this country, especially the downtrodden people? Okay, we would have been 50 years behind. We would have been 50 years behind. So one man's sacrifice will make millions of people to become self-representatives. So we are living in the world of self-representation. That is why I don't want to de-recognize anybody's self-representation. A student at any time can come forward with a representation. Not exactly with the student bodies and not exactly with their student leaders. But of course, student leaders could undal. Not at the cost of silencing all the students who wants to represent their problem on their own. Okay. I mean, the problem of contention between Ambedkar and Gandhi is Mahatma Gandhi didn't want Ambedkar to represent the problem of caste, and Ambedkar didn't want Gandhi to represent the caste problem because he thought that being the victim of caste discrimination, it is he who has to represent himself at the beginning. And he has got that validation because of his foreign education and Western education. So I mean, these are the aspects of representation that we need to keep in our mind, especially at the university. Thinking that every ideology stands to be defeated except Ambedkarism. As I have given you the instances of how Ambedkarism is being followed in UK and in US, including in Colombia and in Canada. In Canada, I think some of the states came forward to declare Ambedkar's week. Okay. Canada. In Australia, you find Ambedkar's associations. In UK, you find hundreds and hundreds of Sikh Dalit organizations, especially the taxi drivers, promoting Ambedkarism, trying to represent Ambedkarism. So, I mean, England has become the first country to recognize, to understand the problem of caste. And it wants that problem of caste to be discussed in its parliament. Parliament lo discuss chesi. And then I think most of the Americans also. I think there is an American writer by name Isabel Wilkerson. She wrote a book, Caste, the Lies That Divide Us. The title of the book itself is The Caste. So I'm just giving you the information from a book written by Shashi Tharoor. Shashi Tharoor, who is a very popular novelist in English, who wrote the Great Indian Novel, and also who wrote In Era of Darkness, most popular book, In Era of Darkness, wrote very recently, wrote a book on Ambedkar, A Life. Okay. I'm just giving you information, I've been photocopying some extracts from that. Because I want you to understand, even if you are failures in taking Ambedkarism forward in our lives, Western people are not silent. Though Ambedkar was not born there. Okay. American people are coming forward and British people are also coming forward. And Canadians are coming forward. Even if you find a strong presence of Ambedkarism in Nepal, in Ceylon, strong presence of Ambedkar groups and Ambedkar representation in Bangladesh, and you find Ambedkar representations in South Korea, and you find a strong representation of Ambedkarism even in Pakistan. So now Ambedkarism is as strong as Marxist ideology. If you consider that Marxism is a universal ideology, an ideology that crosses the boundaries of the nation, Ambedkarism in the 21st century has become the inevitable ideology which has to be embraced by every nation because it is being slowly forgotten by India. Okay. The solace for India is Ambedkarism, but do Indians, especially the downtrodden people, do they practice Ambedkarism? Absolutely not. Okay. They are the violators of Ambedkarism because we are busy in the thick battle of settling the small disputes and small scores of subcasteist calculations with all our vengeance and with all our envy and with all our jealousy, with all our relative competitive spirit with only our brothers. Whereas the other nations are taking this ideology forward and they are making Ambedkarism as the centrality of their ideology and their culture. So the legacy of Ambedkarism is found to be flourishing and proliferating in many of the Western nations, whereas the legacy of Ambedkarism in India is slowly dying out. Okay. So the youngsters and the scholars will have to read. I'm actually waiting for the good scholars like Dr. Manjusha and good scholars from the English department to speak spontaneously, to make it as the natural response, to respond to any social event, spontaneously, natural response, because I have been doing this for the past 40 years. Okay, I have been doing this exercise for the past 40 years, writing and reading. As I said, I'm still reading Ambedkar because books on Ambedkar are still coming out. Okay, the more you draw interpretations, the better interpretations you get. Okay, the more you delve into the depths of Ambedkarism, the better conclusions and the better solutions to disentangle the problem of caste comes to our mind. So till death, I prefer to read only Ambedkar, and even to the graveyard, I prefer to be dragged to the graveyard with Ambedkar and his books in my hand. Okay, so that is my vision and my dream. But of course, just because of Ambedkar, I am standing in the position of Vice Chancellor. But the exclusive credit goes to our Honorable Chief Minister for making an Ambedkar as a Vice Chancellor to one of the big universities in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so we are not made as a Vice Chancellor to a small university, as it is fought and dreamt by many of our opponents in this university, that I will be made as the Vice Chancellor of Dravidian University or Kurnool University. Even in predictions there, but somehow or other we succeeded in becoming. I think kudos to our Honorable Chief Minister, because he is the only one who thought that what is wrong in Ambedkarites? Okay, what is wrong if somebody is an Ambedkarite? And to me, what is wrong if somebody is a student representative, if somebody is a student leader? They should be brought into the mainstream, and they are the best administrators, and today's student leaders are tomorrow's best teachers. Okay. You will be the best. You will be the best teacher and best scholar and best promoter of Ambedkarism. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for your patience, and congratulate each and everyone for being part of this program, and especially the students who are here for getting all your time, and this is a sacrifice that will be there in your life, the time that you have spent. But of course, your sacrifice is compensated with samosas and egg. I especially want some good stuff to be given to the students which can compensate your lunch. Thank you.
I'm not going to take long. We have to really thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor for breaking the Gordian knot and making us understand the scourge, the curse, the real curse on accepting Ambedkar ideology. That is, we are caught in this hyper reality of arresting Ambedkar in an ideal and then caught with on a subcaste fight. So I hope you got the message. I understand your hunger. So I just wanted to say, yes, so as Sir said, Ambedkar is the last leg of civilization, and he is Sir's hero. And because Ambedkar is Sir's hero and Sir is Ekalavya Sishya of Ambedkar, you are our hero. We don't have any hero, and we will also like to go to our graves with your spirit and with your inspiration in our hearts. Whatever we are, especially the students and scholars of English department, we are just an imprint. We are just a stamp, a memory and a remark on, a mark of him, a mark of our Vice Chancellor. I am getting emotional, so losing track of my thoughts. So thank you so much, sir, for giving us the wonderful lecture.